Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Fantasy Fullback Dive, brought to you by the good people at the Roto Street Journal, paving your way to fantasy glory, acting as your lead blocker on the way to fantasy excellence, making all your football-related fantasies come true. I'm your host, Nat the Truth Jones. With me, as always, the Wolf of Roto Street himself, as we come at you for the sixth time for our Thursday Night Football sit-start preview show. Sorry we are a little bit late. The Wolf has a pretty decent excuse, though.
Yeah, home inspection, purchasing the first home, and everything went smooth. It looks like everything should be going now. Fingers crossed that we're at the finish line here. It's been a lengthy, 2 years, really 6 months. I'm really digging in, but we've been looking for a while. So super excited. I know none of you care. You want your answers, and we'll get there. But 10 minutes late, I apologize. So we will make sure to get through everything. I cut down the list of stories we're going to cover to just 3. So we can make sure we have plenty of time for that. But very, very excited. A huge day. Very, very stoked for this place for sure.
Yeah, looking forward to it. I'm glad. I was telling you before we went on the air, and I got to see Hills for a second because she kind of came in with the side eye. I said that buying your first house is maybe a bigger deal than actually getting married. You're stuck for good. And I know
it locks you in, right? Really does.
For me, that's great. My wife's awesome. Your wife's awesome. It was cool to be stuck with her forever, but it's
Absolutely.
a big deal. It's kind of like life gets real.
I know. More so, she's stuck with me forever. I'm already happy, but she's the one really what the hell are you thinking? But hey, we're here. We're doing it.
Well, right. I knew she could hear me when I said it, so that was more just subtle warning for her as opposed to advice for you. Exactly. All right. Here we go. Let's get right into it since we started a little bit late. We got the 49ers at the Seahawks. 49ers are giving 3.5, and the over-under has actually gone up from 46.5 to now 49.5. Where are you leaning on this, and are you excited for the game in general?
I'm stoked for the game. 2 divisional opponents. We saw it last week where you meet and you're kind of clinging and desperate for a win. We had a beautiful game last week, and not that it's going to be real hard to top an overtime walk-off win like we had, but I really think we could be in for a great game with the 49ers and the Seahawks. The only way I don't see it being a good game is if the 49ers just roll them, and that is a possibility. And either way, I do predict the 49ers win this. I think it's going to be tight, but I do think that 3.5 spread, I'll probably take the 49ers even with the points here. I think they're going to definitely win. I think I'll win by 3.5 here, but I do think we'll get an over 49.5. I love that it's got hammered. Like you mentioned, it opened at 46.5 and now is all the way up to 49.5. The sharp money is coming in on that over here. And I think it is sharp money because we've seen what the Seahawks offense is capable. We obviously know what's in the bag of tricks for Kyle Shanahan, even though they've had those red zone woes so far this year. I think this is kind of the get-right game for the 49ers, the remind you guys we are the 49ers, and we have a big game from them. Even though they're on the road, I'll take the road favorites here.
So I'm going to tell you right now, just like last week, you and I were completely aligned for the same reasons, and we are again this week. And the matchup actually reminds me, it's very similar. It was. I think the Tampa Bay was giving up 3 points maybe to the Falcons. We thought Tampa Bay was the better team and would win outright. They were on the road, just like the 49ers are. And I feel exactly the same way about this one. And honestly, watching the game last week, I was convinced for 90% of the game that we were completely right and that Tampa was the better team and would win outright. Somehow it didn't happen. But
509 yards later, that's right. Somehow. I can think of one reason why. Kirk Cousins breaking a record and throwing for 509 yards on Thursday Night Football. That might be one reason. That was nuts.
Right. But, I mean, I didn't leave that game thinking that we were wrong. And so I'm going into this one with exactly this. I mean, like I said, the matchup – similar to me, the on the road, the 3.5 point favorite. I'm going to the 49ers again. Could we be wrong? Of course. But that's the same logic as last week.
Yeah. The Seahawks this year too, 1-4 against the spread. Worst in the NFL right now. The overs are also 4-1 in Seahawks games too. Just what you want to see. Almost every single game shooting out for the Seahawks here. And you look at the recent history too. The 49ers have won 5 straight meetings, including the playoffs. They've gone 4-1 against the spread in that span. Now, if you look at a little bit of the longer history, if you zoom out, 18-9, go to the Seahawks actually across their last 27 meetings, including the playoffs. But overall, I'm more interested in this recent history since the Geno Smith era started. And to me, it's clear it's the 49ers, and I think they're definitely going to roll again tonight.
All right, we are aligned again. That doesn't always mean good things because, again, we were wrong last week. We were right about the over, but we had it snatched away from us. Hopefully we have a little better luck today. All right, we only got 3 stories that we are going to cover. Do we want to talk about and stuff?
I forgot to put it on the banners here, but just a couple quick notes. George Kittle's off the injury report. We're going to dive into what we think his outlook is in just a second. But obviously, if you have Kittle, he's in your lineup. More so, though, the news came on the defensive front. And we have Byron Murphy ruled out, the first-round D tackle there for the Seahawks, ruled out yet again. Fred Warner on the other side of things for the 49ers is in. He's a great cover linebacker, just a great linebacker in general. That's huge for this 49ers team to have him. And the one that we're still tracking, I don't know if there's been a final word yet. Chat, please do let me know. Charvarius Ward is questionable. He's probably the best corner there for the 49ers. So should he be out, that would increase the odds of this thing shooting out. I still think it does regardless, but losing their best corner would only help that trio of dominant wide receivers there for the Seahawks. So we're definitely tracking that news. But other than that, there's no real key takeaways unless I'm overlooking something, but I don't think I am. So we can dive into, as you said, those 3 stories tonight. And then on to all your questions. We got our 235 by the way, we didn't even bang at the beginning. We'd love that thumbs up. Early on, it really does help us out, whether you're on YouTube with the thumbs up, the heart button on Twitter, the shares, the retweets, all that stuff really does help us grow, guys, especially early on. It sends it out to the algorithm and really boosts us out. So please do help us out. I think we hit over 1,000, wasn't it? Like last week, we had a good amount.
Last week, we were right around 1,300, actually.
Woo. Yeah, great stuff. We'd love to approach those numbers again, and it's only doable with the help of you guys sharing it up, and then, of course, asking all of those questions. And our man Campanelli is in the booth there. If you have a super chat to cut the line to support your boy, we'd be more than thrilled to take that and let you cut the line. And you can help your boy keep the lights on over here as well. Purchase that home.
I know, right?
We need that help for sure. So thank you guys so much for being here. Let's dive into these stories.
Are you buying that house with super chat money, Wolf?
Super chat money, baby. The Wolf Pack is coming through, giving me my new den, baby.
You probably can't buy a house with the super chat money, but maybe like you could put a wing on it or something. The super chat
super chat wing. I might be able to get like a socket fixed.
Like, nice countertop or something. All right.
Maybe.
Anyway, although I remember those being pretty expensive from when I had a house.
No, not cheap.
Right. Nothing's cheap. All right. Except some of these guys we're going to talk about, maybe cheap. Can you trust Jaxon Smith-Njigba, JSN tonight? He's been up and down. I mean, but my instinct is that if I had him, I'd probably roll him out. What do you think?
I do have him, and I actually have a question about it. So okay. I'm going to break down his outlook real quick. I'm going to pose the question to you, Truth, and then obviously the chat as well. More than happy to we're going to answer all your questions. Maybe you can toss in a little insight for me. I put this one up on my Twitter as well, and the poll it leans JSN, but the other option, it's close to 50-50 right now. But let's dive into his outlook. They are the 49ers, actually one of the best matchups for slot receivers, top 8 in schedule-adjusted points allowed to slot receivers. Great for JSN, who does over 70% of his work from the spot. And you look at the matchup from the slot spot. And from what you look at here in terms of the game flow, I do think the 49ers are going to just pile on points. We saw the Giants. We saw Daniel Jones move down the field at will. And I know they got some defensive pieces back, but now we got some out. It's just been a constant rotating show there for the Seahawks. They couldn't even – the Patriots put up 20 points against them. I know it's 20 points, but the Patriots offense putting up 20 points, like a good offense should be putting up 40, and I think they really very well could. And that leads me to thinking that they're going to need to throw the Seahawks to retaliate there. Right. Look at JSN. Yeah, did you have something you want to say for that?
No. That's kind of why my instinct would be to roll them out. Is I just think they're going to be throwing the ball a lot, especially the second half.
They have talked a lot. All the coach speak all week is we need more Ken Walker. We have to get him involved. It was our fault for not scheming him more in last game. We will make sure to correct it. And I do believe them. They love Ken Walker. We saw it in the first game. They absolutely fed this guy. And so I think they're going to want to have a run-heavy approach. And if they can, they will. And that's what makes me a little bit nervous of JSN is if they get an early lead, if the Seahawks control the pace of the game, it isn't going to be a heavy volume attack, but I think it's much more likely we see the gas pedal down because the 49ers are piling on points against them. You look at JSN, 2 targets, 16 targets, 3 targets, 12 targets, and 7 targets. It has been very up or down, and it has been very game script dependent, game flow dependent. When they need to throw, he gets good volume. When they don't, he gets nothing. And so it does make me a little bit worried. It is clear as the number 2, though. At least he's leaped over Lockett. We've had 43 targets on the season for DK, 40 for JSN, and then 32 for Tyler Lockett. But that's also a little more involved than you typically want your number 3 wide receiver to be if you're starting this guy So as you can see, I'm like, I see a lot of reason to like him, see a lot of reason to fade him. And so it's going to come down to who your other guy is. I do lean closer to fading him, though. If I had to, like, do I love playing him tonight? I don't. It's not one of those things you've seen me come in here and be like, cannot wait to get this guy in my lineup. I'm putting him everywhere. And usually we've had good luck with that. Last week, Bucky Irving didn't go so hot when he was kind of the guy that we couldn't wait to play. I'm not feeling those vibes with JSN.
No, I don't either. I felt much more strongly about Bucky Irving last week, ironically, even though he didn't do much. I still don't know what's going on there, by the way. I mean, the guy's still running, ran for like 6 yards a carry. I know he did fumble. But, yeah, I mean, to me
it was like 9 yards a pop. The guy looked phenomenal. And, I guess Rachaad White had more yards at the end. I swear, Rachaad White's the only running back who couldn't score a touchdown on that play.
Rachaad White had like 160-yard run, and other than that run, he was like, I forget what the numbers were, but it was like a yard a carry, basically.
Exactly. It should have been a touchdown. Like, I get it. You can't discredit the guy. He had a 60-yard run. But if that was Bucky Irving, he would have easily scored.
Yeah, he would have scored. On that play. That's just a long way of saying, like, no, when I say I lean towards rolling out JSN, I'm not like coming in hot either for that. Like there are some guys where we're just like, you got to put him in. I would lean starting him, but I'm not on my soapbox, just like pounding the drum for him either.
No, I have him at 31, wide receiver 31. So if you start 3 receivers, there's bye weeks this week. Like there's a good chance you're considering JSN, and probably should be. He's definitely worth considering for the Lions, no doubt about it. Let us know who you're weighing against. I'll give you my dilemma so you can kind of see where I'm measuring against. Is I have either JSN or Calvin Ridley, who's definitely been boom or bust, less consistent target volume than JSN, but he gets the Colts. He's coming off a bye. He has his coach come out and say, like, it's been my mistake to not get Calvin Ridley more involved, and we will make sure to correct that this week. So I just kind of see that squeaky wheel getting greased against the most generous. I mean, you have Brian Thomas. You saw what he did against this Colts defense. Like they are just abysmal on the back end there. And so I see kind of this being, if you're not going to start Calvin Ridley against the Colts, why is he even on your team?
Brian Thomas is a badass.
Oh yeah, he's way better than Calvin Ridley too. Like I'm not saying he's not either, but
no, that's a dilemma, and I get it. We do have a super chat.
Who would you go there? I know we got an empty fire on for the super chat, but who would you pick, Ridley or JSN?
I would probably go JSN.
Ooh, okay. I have Ridley in now, but I keep going back and forth. Let me know, chat. You guys are willing to help answer that one. Ridley, JSN.
I don't feel super strongly, and it's possible I'm not taking the Colts defense into account enough as I should be.
Yeah.
And I also have an issue. I always lean towards starting guys on Thursday night, so I got a reason to watch. But I know that's not a good fantasy reason.
It's a fair tiebreaker, really.
Flaw in my character, I admit it. NC Firearms sending us $5. Thank you so much. He's a consistent, a contributor to the soon-to-be wing on the Wolves estate, crawling estate.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Anyway, start 2, full PPR. Shaheed, Ridley, Kirk, Myers.
Man, this is a tricky one.
It is.
Especially with the full PPR. Now, I will say this. I probably have Shaheed the lowest, and most weeks he'd be the highest, but no Derek Carr. I know that shouldn't be like, Derek Carr, the whole thing crumbles, but he's been really, really solid.
It's kind of important.
We have no clue what to expect with Spencer Rattler. Could it be even better? I mean, the dude has a cannon arm. We saw Spencer Rattler. There was a time where we were talking about him as maybe the next best prospect in QB's history of college. He was looking like the next big thing. And then, of course, the attitude, all that stuff kind of caved in on him. But the dude does have an arm. He's got some talent. So I'm not completely writing off Shaheed, certainly not rest of season. But if I have good enough options to see how this goes, I'd like to. And you certainly do. I'd have Ridley, Kirk, and Myers, especially in full PPR, all ahead of Shaheed. Ridley is the one that we were just talking about him.
Yeah,
Coach saying that he wants to overcorrect for not getting him involved, wants to use him more, wants to use him more creatively. All those things sound amazing, and I buy it. I really do. Maybe it's coming from the rose-covered glasses of owning Ridley as well. I think he's going to explode this week. And in a PPR format, he's the least likely to be like – he's the one that plays into this format the least. Like Myers, target hog, 41% of so Myers is a target hog, and now he finally gets a matchup where that could thrive. I love Myers this week. Christian Kirk, he's really started to pull it together. But I actually like Ridley and Myers the most here because Evan Ingram expected to come back. And Christian Kirk, whenever Ingram's been out there, those two have really struggled to coexist and have huge fantasy days. I'm leaning Ridley and Myers here, with Myers being the PPR hog, Ridley being the blow-up candidate. Kirk is definitely the safer of the PPR plays here, but I'm going Ridley. I don't know. I'm going Ridley and Myers. What about you, Truth?
I'm going the same too. And, I like Kirk. I mean, these guys all have some appeal, but I mean,
they really do.
I like Kirk, but it seems like there's a new sheriff in town in Jacksonville, and his name's BTJ. So I think I'm going with the same two guys you like.
BTJ, man. Somebody tweeted out the other day, and at first I was like, a hot take, huh? And then I was like, you know what? I actually kind of agree with this. And they were saying, like, you could draft again today, both NFL draft and fantasy drafts. They would take BTJ over Marvin Harrison. And I was like, oh, wow, that's a bold one. And I was like, actually, it's kind of right, I think.
I think he's every bit as good as Marvin Harrison, maybe better.
Way more explosive. He certainly has more long speed. He certainly has – and this guy is still coming into his own. That's the whole thing about him was he's a little bit raw. That's why he's falling in the first round. Every week he's just getting better and better, and every route the tree is expanding. Because in college, it was one of those things where I think it was like 60% of his production came on goes and like slants, and that was it. He could only do 2 routes. And we're seeing more and more branches, the screens, everything's getting added to his game. And I was just like, in terms of a ceiling, Marvin Harrison's incredible. He's great contested, just like pure fundamentals. Dude's incredible. But like in terms of just raw athletic ceiling, BTJ is nuts. He's untouchable right now. So yeah, I know we're getting off your question here. Sorry, NC Firearms.
No, but, we're aligned on this though. We feel the same way.
I'm looking at my range too. I want my range to be aligned here, and I am going to bump down Kirk because of that news of him returning. I did have Rashid Shaheed the lowest though, but I'm going to keep bumping up. Well, Myers is tricky because he gets Pittsburgh too, but Pittsburgh struggles very much against the slot. So yeah, I'm going to stick to Ridley and Myers in a full PPR setting, with Kirk being the next closest. I'd like to wait and see what happens with Shaheed, NC Firearms.
Well, Papa Samo, meanwhile,
Mr. Sarno, that's Craig Sarno.
I know it's Craig Sarno, but he's Papa Samo. He threw us another 5. Sup, boys? Started season with Nico, Rice, and Hill, which wow, that would have been awesome. But then he says, understandably, Nico halmstring issue, Rice out for the year, Hill being thrown to just by like peanut vendors that they've pulled out of the bin. Half PPR, I need 3 wide receivers and a flex. Pickens, Dobbs, Wicks, Worthy, Tucker, Tyreek, Jerome Ford. I
had Treehouse in this glass, so I can't pour it out. It's just too delicious, Sarno. But I'd love to pour one out for your receivers. My God, like literally 3 top 5 receivers if everything is right for those guys. Really insane.
And now like producing like whatever Tyreek gets in a week, which is, like 7 points or whatever. With that said, I'm still rolling Tyreek out with this group.
Well, he's on bye this week, so we don't have him this week.
I'm not rolling him out if he's on bye, but if he was, I'd play him. So let's forget about that.
Absolutely brutal. This is a tough one, though. And sorry, you've had your lineup is loaded. If I'm not mistaken, he puts Tyreek in there, but I am 90% positive. Yeah, the Dolphins are on bye this week. I'm 99.9999%.
You're probably right. I didn't check.
And Worthy's on a bye, so we can cross a lot of these.
This is going to be a much easier question.
Yeah, so no Worthy, no Tyreek. Tucker must be Tucker Kraft, I imagine. So we need 3 receivers, and I think we've limited to 3 receivers. Like we
have 3 receivers here. That's it.
We only have 3 receivers here.
You're trying to decide between Tucker and Jerome Ford.
Yeah. The thing, so I'll toss out there too, like Dobbs and Wicks. Having both of them in my lineup doesn't feel great. I'd rather have Wicks. I'd rather go for the big play upside. I know last week was disappointed. He still did get 7 targets. I do still think there's big days ahead for Dontavian Wicks as long as Christian Watson is out. So I'm aboard playing Wicks. I certainly play Pickens, even though I know it's been disappointing. The Raiders, it seems like a good get-right spot for him. Dobbs, you can play both of them. That's how explosive this attack is. And against Arizona, you can certainly get 2 of those receivers in there. There's no doubt about it. But I would just say it's not my favorite thing to do. And I would lean into, is there anybody else out there on the waiver wire? I've seen Alec Pierce lingering out there a ton, and there's no Michael Pittman right now. Whether it's Anthony Richardson or whether it's Joe Flacco, Alec Pierce can ball out with either of those quarterbacks. We've seen him do 20-point days with both of them. He's the most quarterback-proof guy on that entire roster. So I like looking out for him. I would double check and see. I'm trying to think of a few other names to toss out there. I mean, Ray McLeod even is a guy that's out there in like nearly every league. You could take a peek and see if he's out there for you. Darius Slayton, nah. I don't think I'd go to those depths, but I do say like check for Alec Pierce. There is no fault though if you do want to end up playing two Packers receivers. This is the type of week to do it. You got Arizona, you got the shootout. I think this is a good week to do it. We do have to pick a flex though, so it just comes down to Jerome Ford or Tucker Kraft, and I'm going Tucker Kraft. Like I'm not putting this, but then it's tough. Like, are you really starting Wicks, Dobbs, and Tucker Kraft? I would rather start two of those three. But Jerome Ford, I mean, we saw Donta Foreman come back from the dead. This was a 50-50 split, and I just can't trust this guy. And Nick Chubb might be back this week too. So, I mean, this is ugly, Sarno. It's getting rough. I think we're going to need to dig into the waiver wire dumpster a bit for you. Yeah. I would start with Alec Pierce. You know, of course, if there's a Wan'Dale Robinson somehow still out there, probably not. I'm trying to just toss out some names that could potentially be there for you. Maybe you go desperate with the Patriots and see if Drake May can get something going for Jalen Polk, Demario Douglas, like Michael Wilson. Maybe on the other side of things, you try to play the shootout game here. And so you go Wicks, Michael Wilson, and Pickens. So that way you get the game environment between the Cardinals and the Packers. But I have a hard time starting all of Tucker, Kraft, Wicks, and Dobbs. That seems –
So I do too, but I will say that if I were going to start two of the three of them, I would want Tucker in there.
I would want Tucker in there too.
I would do him in one of the receivers. But anyway, we both agree with Tucker over Jerome Ford. Actually, we have two more super chats that are sitting right now, Wolf.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks, 3STKZ. Thanks for the $2. We appreciate it. Already have Worthy, Wicks, Shakir, rest of season. Who do I keep?
So you got to cut one of these guys. Oof. Is what I imagine this question's asking. I'm not 100%.
Well, let's just rank them. Let's rank them 1 through 3, and then no matter what, he'll have a sense.
I would say rest of season outlooks. I would actually put Shakir at the top of this list. We saw it last week when him removed. He is the clear number one for Buffalo at this point. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like, what did Josh Allen go 9 for 30? I think it was last week without Shakir. That is his dude, and it's very clear. And he might not play this week, so you might not be able to use him. But I think Shakir is by far my favorite of these three for the rest of season. Worthy's a tricky one because he got that big play. He got the touchdown. Nice. Looks good. He's damn explosive. He's dangerous. But, like, Juju walks into I called it on Twitter. People seem to like it this week. I called Juju Diet Rashee Rice. Like, he got 8 targets, 7 catches, 130 yards, played that layup role, and Juju actually looked good. I was shocked, Truth, that this guy was not more popular on waiver wires. I found him on almost every waiver wire the next day when I had no money to spend in some leagues. Juju was sitting there. I was like, I would have paid $25 for this guy. Now I get him for free. Sweet. I think Juju, anybody out here watching, I know he's on bye week. I think a lot of people, because he's on bye week, he doesn't show up under your like projected wide receivers. I mean, I see you reaching for the mouse there, maybe looking over to see if Juju's on your waiver wire. Truth, I think he should be. It's Juju. It's been a while since he's been truly relevant, but he had over 900 yards, 3 touchdowns, 78 catches with Pat Mahomes just a few seasons ago, and he looked really good. Like I don't know. It just maybe it's the eyeball test. For me, he popped. And so that's all to say. Worthy, I don't know if we're ever going to get that type of quick hit strike. You know, he can do it in screens. I think Andy Reid is understandably hesitant with a 175-pound guy to keep sending him over the middle like he did with Rashee Rice and now like he's doing with Juju and Travis Kelce. All that to say, though, I think I would rank these Shakir. Worthy still has that upside of being a huge piece of the Pat Mahomes offense, which I know isn't enormously relevant. Well, it's relevant, but it's not the huge fantasy ceiling that we wish it could be. I think Wicks is the third here just because he feels like the most likely to just kind of disappear. If he has another bad game next week, if he struggles with drops again, if Christian Watson then comes back and takes the job back from him, it seems like as much as I like the talent of Wicks, as well as he's done whenever he's had routes outside of last week, he seems like the most cuttable of all these guys.
I have these guys ranked the exact order that you do as well. Agree with the analysis. So if you're cutting 1, if you're cutting 2, we like them Shakir, Worthy, and then Wicks in that order. Omar F., another super chat. We have another one waiting after this, actually. Wolf. Fellas,
you guys are being real
thanks a lot.
They're keeping the lights on for the Wolfen is the new home purchase here. I love it. The Wolfpack funding the new den. You guys are the best. Yeah.
We only have two more story like banner worthy stories for the game, and then we'll get right into the mailbag.
We got all you guys.
Thank you for this. We appreciate it.
Thank you guys
Omar,
so much.
Yo, fellas, happy Thursday. With neighbors looking shaky, should I play JSN tonight or wait and see if Downs plays? If they sit, I'll have to play Myers.
I think Myers is a great
I
fallback.
actually like Myers.
Yeah, I honestly think Myers is probably as good, if not better, than JSN this week. And so if that's the bridge you need to get to Neighbors, because if Neighbors plays, we all know he's a top 5 receiver. I have him ranked at wide receiver 4 for the week. He gets Cincinnati, a horrendous defense. He's going to get 15 targets. We've seen it. This guy is an absolute animal. And so any shot that I had to play Neighbors, like the gap between JSN and Myers, I might even just prefer Myers. Never mind the fact that it might get me to Neighbors. 110% you waited out for Neighbors. I like JSN tonight just fine. I honestly probably prefer him than Downs. Mm-hmm. Downs is a tricky one, Truth, because he's so good with Joe Flacco. If you told me Joe Flacco was guaranteed to be the quarterback today, and now we know Pickman's out too, I would probably, I'm looking at my receiver rankings here. I would have Josh Downs ranked at wide receiver 21 this week, ahead of Amari Cooper.
I mean, that's
maybe not ahead of Brian Thomas. I'm bumping Brian Thomas in my rankings.
You can't have him ahead of Brian Thomas.
No, I wouldn't. I'm like, why is Brian Thomas so low in my rankings? I'm bumping him up as I see this. But right. I would have him like right there at like right around the Amari Cooper, Terry McLaurin, Darnell Mooney. He'd be ahead of these guys, probably right below T. Higgins for me. Maybe even above Deontay Johnson. Like that's how good Joe Flacco is with Josh Downs. But it seems like Anthony Richardson is practicing. Seems like he's likely to be back. And we have not seen Josh Downs do anything. In fact, Anthony Richardson's highest completion percentage is on throws of 50-plus yards. He completes more of those throws than he does throws behind the line of scrimmage. It's nuts. The guy cannot do the short scatter. Like, it's just ridiculous. And it shows you the ceiling of Anthony Richardson, but it also shows you why a guy like Josh Downs does not thrive with an Anthony Richardson. So Downs has so much risk reward. So part of me is like, maybe you just play JSN tonight because I'd rather have him at this point than Downs. But I'll say I wouldn't play JSN tonight because you have Neighbors coming for you. And like, you got to play Neighbors. I think he's going to play. And if he doesn't, Myers is a great fallback. And ideally, we do get, Joe Flacco, because then Downs is just too much upside to sit. And we get Flacco. And if you don't, well, we'll see what Downs can do without Pittman. Maybe he does get it together. I probably just don't play JSN tonight is what I'm getting at. I'm nervous, though. I'm already kind of feeling like I'm benching JSN. Now I'm telling my man Omar, who we love, who's always been here forever, to bench him. Like, these are the ones where it's like, oh, man, JSN first drive has a touchdown, and we're just like, all right, how good is this going to be tonight? Like, this is bad. So I am getting nervous about it, but I'm benching him myself, Omar. And I'd recommend you have so much upside waiting for you that I think I would bench him if I'm you too. I don't know. Tricky.
Yeah, it is tricky, but I think that's a sound piece of advice. All right, Ethan, another $5 super chat. Thank you so much. If James Cook sits, do I trust in Ray Davis or should I preemptively flex Jacoby Myers?
Yeah, Ethan, this is a great question. I say it's tough. You super chat, so I want to give you a great answer here. I would say, though, and I know you'll probably be there on Sunday morning, 8 a.m. We'll be live ahead of London. The Jags are back, Truth.
No Blake Bortles.
Alan Hearns over there by the potted plants. All the good stuff. Oh, man. Those are the good old days, dude. Man. But I would probably, even if I knew James Cook was sitting, I think I would rather just play Jacoby Myers anyways because they've had Ty Johnson very, very involved for the Bills. Like, could it be Ray Davis? Sure. Is it guaranteed to be Ethan? I don't think so. Whereas I get Jacoby Myers, who is averaging 41% first read targets, like become the target vacuum. He just had brutal matchups. And he still hasn't been bad in those matchups. But when you face the Broncos, when he's getting these lockdown, shutdown corners, and not that the Steelers is a great matchup, but they are horrible against slot receivers. And that's where Jacoby Myers lines up well over half of his routes. So I would probably just play Jacoby Myers anyways, even if I knew James Cook was out. And I don't think James Cook's going to be out. Like he's fine as far as I can tell. I know he sat practice early in the week, but I think that's just like a Monday night. We can rest the guy a little bit more. This is our bell cow. Let's let him breathe while he can. That's more how I read the James Cook situation. If I'm wrong, I still think Jacoby Myers is the better play. I love stashing Ray Davis, but I have a hard time trusting him just because of how involved Ty Johnson's already been too. I don't think it's a guarantee that Ray Davis just walks into like 30 carries or anything like that.
Agree. And then our very last one, just he's thanking us, giving us another $2 for answering his question.
Cheers.
No problem. No problem.
Grease.
I hope.
Maybe I won't be able to afford this home after all. I thought I was
know,
what the hell am I
seriously.
signing up for?
I hope. I
The
hope
wolf pack is coming through for you, boy.
yeah, right.
I love it. Awesome.
Yeah, I hope we're right. What we said. I felt pretty good about our answer. All right, let's look at the next thing we got. Which 49ers stud shows up biggest tonight? And I mean, when you're asking about the studs, are you just talking about Deebo and Kittle? Are you including Aiyuk in that group? Are you talking? Are you including Brock Purdy?
I think you can thrust him in there. You can throw Jordan Mason in the conversation at this point too. Obviously CMC, if he were healthy, would be part of that conversation. But I was, when I worded this question, it is a little poorly and like open-ended here. I was kind of thinking like which pass catcher is the one that if you were making a captain lineup on DraftKings, or if I had to bet a prop bet tonight, who would I want to go all in on? And I'll tell you, hey, I bet your line would be here, Truth. It's a guy that's so fun to bet on every single time. That's Deebo Samuel.
Are you going to say Deebo?
Deebo Samuel. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Not just because anytime you can bet on Deebo, you want to bet on Deebo. It's just one of those players that's so fun. But especially when he faces the Seahawks, you know that they're just guys that murder teams. They're just like, this team killer. Deebo is a Seahawk killer. I heard the stat today. In his last 7 games, I think it might even be his only 7 games, but at least his last 7 games against the Seahawks, Deebo has never been below 95 yards from scrimmage. That's the low, is 95.
Jesus.
He's low is 95. And this is 7 games, too. 7-game low is 95 yards. 5 of those games have been above 115. 4 of those games have been above 130. 3 of 7 games have been above 150. Like the high is 165. Oh, and he has 6 touchdowns in those 7 games as well. Deebo has murdered the Seahawks. And again, this is a new team. It's a new defense.
New defense. Their defense is terrible.
Defense sucks. Exactly.
You're right. It is a new defense. It's a worse defense.
I really do believe in it too. Like, and people are like, oh, well, it's a new year anyway. But something about like, there's some people that you just like, you see, and you're just like, I'm going to fucking beat the shit out of this opponent. And I think that's what Deebo and the Seahawks are. Like, he looks at them, he's like, I can't wait to bully these guys again because I always destroy the Seahawks. And if I had to bet on one guy going absolutely nuclear tonight, it would be Deebo Samuel.
I feel like I remember Jamal Charles doing that to the Raiders. It's just like you roll that guy out against the Raiders, and it's like lights out immediately. I won a playoff game, a fantasy playoff game with him one time, and I had the game won by like 2:00 on Sunday.
I remember that, Truth. When we were in a lead together at Kip, I think it was Manny Lopez who I had the number 1 seed. My team was dominant. I think I lost 1 game all year that season, and I was already counting my chickens. And then Jamal Charles had a 57-point day in that playoff game, and Manny Lopez wiped the floor with me. And his team sucked. Like, I remember being like, he shouldn't even be the playoffs. He got lucky because Jamal Charles had a big game the week before, and then he went even. I remember that. Yeah, he always killed the Raiders, but especially that playoff game. Like, that was wasn't it 7 touchdowns? I think it was like
I thought it was 5, but
I just had trauma from it. I have no idea. I just wake up in the middle of the night from that.
Some people just do that stuff to people. So anyway.
Yeah.
So anyway, we both believe that Deebo is the guy to, if you're looking for who, obviously, if you have any of these top guys, you're playing them. But as far as if you're asking me which one's going to be the biggest, sure, my money's on Deebo.
Yeah. And to note too, Tariq Woolen is out for the Seahawks as well. That's a big cornerback out, and that's probably most likely to help Brandin Aiyuk. That's going to be the guy that would man him up on the outside. So Aiyuk could go crazy, but my money be on Deebo. I will just say to Kittle, top 5 matchup for tight ends tonight in schedule adjusted points. We saw Hunter Henry catch what was that stat line in week 2? I think it was 12 catches on 15 targets for 100 yards and a touchdown from Hunter Henry and the Patriots. George Kittle has had 17, 13, and 16 half PPR points in his last 3 games. He has been a top 4 tight end in 3 straight games. You're playing Kittle. I'm not saying anything groundbreaking, but Kittle's going to have a huge night too. It's just a matter of, I think Deebo has the night that's truly absolute ape shit. But we'll see. I think both these guys are going to go nuts. And we do have a super chat.
We do. We actually have 2 super chats.
Oh, you guys are the best.
Again, the wing is slowly being built. Brick by brick.
Right. The Wolf Den is certainly being built brick by brick tonight, babe.
Our cannabis. Throwing us a couple bucks. Thank you. Hey, guys, Otten or Schultz, Bigsby or Sermon? First of all, I would definitely go Bigsby. I love Bigsby.
Yeah, how do you not play Tank? Completely different player. I know a lot of people still seem reluctant, and understandably so. Like, his rookie year was one of the worst performances by a running back we've ever seen. He got the field for like 10 snaps. He fumbled twice. He had 2 drop balls. Like, one led to an interception. It was hideous.
It was pretty bad.
But this guy looks good. Like you were just saying, Truth. I mean, eyeball test wise, he's and metrics wise, way better than Travis Etienne this year. The NFL leader in yards per carry right now, the number 3 graded rusher by Pro Football Focus. We talked about him on the waiver wire show in terms of yards over expectation, top 3 as well. Whereas Etienne is, outside the top 30 on all of those metrics. I think he's the 55th graded rusher. I think he's 35th in yards per carry. Over expectation, he's not doing anything. He's got a shoulder injury. I love Bigsby. And I know Sermon more likely to be the featured guy and the starter. And he mixed time with Tyler Goodson last week. He had 10 touches. He was his usual inefficient self. Give me Bigsby coming off a 25-point day. And I know the Bears seem like a scary defense. They're a top 8 matchup for running backs this year. So, yeah, I'm definitely going Bigsby. Last week he had more rushes and more snaps than Travis Etienne. We've already seen him start to take this backfield over. It's just a matter of like how big is the takeover? Does he take it over completely? He might. Like, I've never been a Travis Etienne guy. He was the number 1 bust in my article this year, and in the draft guide, I said if I am fading anybody in round 2, the clear-cut fade for me is Travis Etienne. And it wasn't even because I was that scared of Bigsby. I said they want to involve Bigsby, but he had a horrible year last year. And now I see Bigsby looking like one of the best running backs in the league. I love it. I think Bigsby's great. I'm a huge fan. So, yeah, I'm definitely going Bigsby over Sermon. Seems like you're aligned with me there, right?
I am.
In terms of the tight end question, it's so tricky because, like, Schultz, we had no Nico all last game, and Schultz still did nothing. And that's kind of the only reason you're probably even thinking about him is Nico's out. And whenever Schultz has had to be a featured part last year, he was the number 3 passing weapon in this attack. And he was a solid tight end for you. And I think there's definitely some credence to that. Part of me just wants to be like, you got fed. You played Cade Otton, though. Like we said it last week when we were talking about Cade Otton. It's the bag of chips. You drink a warm Modelo and, maybe grab a handful of shredded cheddar and just toss it in your mouth. And it's not good. It's not good for you, but you ate something. I kind of feel that way with Cade Otton at this point. I don't know. There's more ceiling to Dalton Schultz. They're facing the Pats, who are definitely a pass funnel defense. But like Schultz, I feel like Otton's going to get you 5 to 8 targets, 3 catches to 5 catches, and probably 40 to 60 yards. And I don't know. I think I might just lean with that. I don't know. How do you feel about that situation? They're both gross, but
I mean, I don't love the choices. I guess it probably depends. Are you going for floor or ceiling here? I would be inclined to probably roll out Schultz, despite the very true thing you said about him doing nothing, even with Collins out, just because the ceiling is higher. But yeah, I agree. If you just want to make sure you eat something, I'd put Otton out there probably.
Schultz certainly does have the highest ceiling. I think it's very fair to say, Truth. Like, he could have a 2-touchdown day. Nico is a huge removal from this offense. And especially in the red zone, it's brutal. Anybody else out there, again, pour one out for Nico. Awful news for him to be on the IR. Hopefully he's just back in 4 weeks and you have him for your playoff stretch run. I mean, I've had McCaffrey here. I'm not going to sit here and mourn you, Nico people. At least you got three great, 5 straight games of production. Before he went out, didn't he catch like a 70-yard touchdound last week?
And then he was like, "Oh, I'm hurt," and it's like, okay,
he still got 15 points before he pulled himself out.
I mean, also, he had a completely serviceable fantasy game before that.
Yeah,
I think that, man, he is a monster. I don't think anybody can be feeling sorry or expecting anyone to feel sorry for them now. I mean, I've lost Pacheco. Like, I have Jalen Waddle, who is useless now. Like, I mean, it's happened to everybody. Everybody's been just completely burned by these injuries this year. And Nico's just the latest one. But, man, it sucks that he's going to be out for a while. But anyway, that's the way we're leaning. We do have one more super chat. Ethan, again, hate to follow up, but Jacoby or JK in the flex, then you don't need to hate to follow up. I mean, that was not necessary to throw us another 5, but we sure do appreciate it.
I know. I mean, Campanelli would attract your follow up here for super chatting already. Follow up all night if you want to keep throwing that $5. No, thank you so much, Ethan.
Yeah, thanks, man.
So generous. So one, Gus Edwards isn't practicing. Not that Gus Edwards is that scary anyways at this point. JK's clearly taken over the backfield, was right around 65% of the snaps, 60% of the rushes last time out. We're talking about a guy that was, I think he's still top 3 in rushing yards, even though he had the bye last week. I like what Dobbins has been showing this year. I really like, so did he, I don't remember, Ethan. I'm looking at his other question. It doesn't tell us if this is PPR or not, because Myers does get a huge boost in full PPR. You can count on 6 to 10 catches there. And in half PPR, 6 catches, 3 points, and full PPR, that's a touchdown. 3 points is nice.
While the Wolf is breaking it down, throw it in the bottom of the chat if it's PPR.
Yeah. Just let us know, Ethan, if you can, if this is full PPR. Because if it is, I do lean Myers, because I think you're going to get 6 to 8 catches. The Steelers very much struggle against the slot receivers, and that's where Jacoby is going to roll him and do his damage. But if it's half PPR, I do think I lean Dobbins here.
Half PPR, Wolf.
Yeah, I think I'm leaning Dobbins. It's a really tricky one because I think the Chargers, they're up against Denver, so it's not a great match. That's a really good defense in general, but we know what Harbaugh wants to do. This team had a week to get healthy. I think a lot of their linemen are returning this week, if I'm not mistaken, and Dobbins really took over this backfield, and rightfully so. He clearly looked like the best guy. So I'm going to play Dobbins, I think. He's had some tough run defenses. He hasn't looked great these last couple of weeks. 5 point. I don't know though. I'm looking at his last couple of weeks. He had a great start to the year. Back-to-back 20-point games, and it's been a little ugly since then. 6.9, 7.7. Oh, Ethan, put me in the blender this early.
I'm just going to tell you, I would always go with the Wolf over me, but I would lean Jacoby here.
You lean Jacoby, okay, and I think it's fair. Let me just pull up real quick before we move on to the next one, Ethan. And I really do appreciate you super chatting twice. That's why I want to kind of dive in. I'm just looking again at Dobbins. I love the work, 17, 15, 14 carries these last few weeks, 3 catches in back-to-back weeks. That's nice. That's bankable. I think all that is nice. I'm looking at Myers because, I know I saw the stat that he has a 41% first read target share since Devontae Adams kind of began his holdout. But I don't think he's been overly productive despite the volume suggesting he should be. It hasn't been great for him either. He's seen a lot of volume, 10 targets and 9 targets, but then 5 catches, 49 yards, 6 catches and 72. That's actually decent. I'm going Dobbins.
It's better than with the numbers than you're saying Dobbins has been put
it is, but I'm leaning Dobbins, getting 18 carries, 4 catches, falling into the end zone. And this guy looks so explosive. And the Broncos are a good defense, but
the Broncos are a good defense, man. The Broncos have kind of snuck up on us here. But anyway, like I said, so I'm going Jacoby. Wolf's going JK. I would look, tiebreaker should go to the Wolf here. Because
I don't know about that.
You tend to have researched your opinions a little more, and I tend to shoot from the hip a little more. I mean, I think they're both decent options. I would tend to lean towards the target hog in this situation. But anyway, thanks for the second super chat, man. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for the support. No, it really does mean so much.
This is a record for us. It's 7:23. We're just getting to the third story now because we've had so many super chats.
You guys have been so generous. Thank you so much. Actually. I'm glad we only did 3 stories then tonight, especially because why don't we dive in and we'll hit the mailbag right away.
All right. Well, Geno's woes versus the 49ers continue. And the headline you've got here, when we got 4 games against the Niners as a Seahawk, and Geno Smith is 0-4, but he's completing 72% of his passes for 217 yards, 3 touchdowns to 3 picks. That's in 4 games. Yeah.
So it looks okay. Yeah. You hear 72% completion rate and you're like, all right, this guy's he's cooking. He's doing okay against this team. And then you hear 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, and 0-4 as a starter. And then you look at deeper. It's not just that he's 0-4. He's lost by 20, 18, 18, and 8 points. Pretty big spreads, too. Dare I say blowouts in 3 out of the 4 and 8 points. So, not a great game there either. So, yeah, it looks okay with a 72% completion, but no, he has not been good. Now, I think this is a different offense. I really like Ryan Grubb. I love what Ken Walker's doing. I do not think this team will be nearly as inept. I think they're going to keep it much tighter than, again, 20, 18, 18, and 8. I think we're going to get closer to that 3.5-point spread, but I do think they lose, and I don't want to play Geno Smith if I don't have to tonight. As good as he's been cooking. He's top 10 quarterback right now on the season. This scheme has been phenomenal for him. I do think if you can bench him, I'd rather play Purdy tonight. I got that question a couple times, Purdy versus Geno, and I again could see another one of those like 230 and a touchdown. But I wouldn't be shocked. His Ryan Grubb attack is the real deal. So let us know if you have a Geno Smith question. But I did want to highlight the fact that he has been really bad, at least record-wise and scoreboard-wise, against this 49ers team across the time since he joined the Seahawks.
Yeah, it's averaging less than a touchdown a game in that period of time and getting beat handily in the meantime.
Yeah.
All right. So before we hit the mailbag, and it is 7:25, so we're looking at 50 minutes from kickoff. Still a decent amount of time. We do have over 650 of you in here right now, which we really appreciate. It's awesome that you're here. We'll just take this moment to quickly ask you to like and subscribe and, tell a friend and share it and all that good stuff. It really helps us get out to people. I feel like the crowd's built a little slower, maybe because we started a little later. But you guys have definitely, you've shown up for us every week, and we appreciate it.
We love having you. Thank you guys so much for being here.
So, Wolf, I will be right back. You do the first question or two by yourself, but I'll be back in a minute.
All righty. Sounds good. My man, Eric Buckman, commenting always from 2 o'clock. I love it. You're always tenting out before the stream begins. Great to see you. Hope you survived school. I sure did. I hope you did today too, brother. It was a busy day, school day, and then the home inspection and all that good stuff. A busy day, no doubt. But with Moody out tonight, should I pick up his replacement right and start him or pick up C. McLaughlin? I love C. McLaughlin. He had a great year last year for the Bucs, and he's been even better this past season as well. One of those guys that can boot it from 50 with no problem. I believe he's like the top 3 scorer tonight, as kicker. And so, yeah, Wright, with the red zone woes from the 49ers seems like a great play. I can understand it, but I love McLaughlin. And Wright is a backup kicker for a reason. He has a big history of missing kicks. So I like Colin McLaughlin 10 out of 10 times here, Eric Buckman. I think he's one of the best kickers in the league. Truth, Wolf, from my man, Magic White Mike. What's going on, Magic Mike? I need your otherworldly insights. Full PPR. Need a running back and flex. Jacobs, Monty, Chuba, and or Deontay Johnson. We only can start 2 of these guys. Oh, you're killing me, Magic Mike. Now, I love Monty. I got to go him each and every week. Facing a Cowboys defense that can absolutely be run upon. They're giving up a top 3 amount. 2 backs. I think I'm definitely going Monty. To me, the only easy cross-off, and it's not an easy cross-off, but compared to the other guys, I think you're definitely, and it's full PPR, so you know what? It's not as easy as it seems. And that does lesser Monty just a little bit because the receiving ceiling's lesser. Oh, man, though. I'm going Jacobs, though. That matchup against Arizona is so juicy. I'm going Monty. The matchup against Dallas is juicy. I love Chuba. He's actually my number 12 compared to the 11 for Montgomery, maybe a little bit more of a receiving ceiling, too. Deontay, the first read target share, the 20% plus in every game with Dalton looks nice, and the full PPR really does favor him. But we saw last week, he kind of disappeared. This is the Panthers we're still talking about, too. So I'm going to go Jacobs and Monty. Very tough call, though. 4 great options. Magic Mike, your squad is beastly. Truth, you came in just in time. Magic Mike wants our otherworldly advice, and he has 4 great options and only needs 2 of them. Jacobs, Monty, Chuba, and Deontay.
I would go Monty and Jacobs probably.
That's exactly what I said.
Right.
So we're lined up there. And then Papa Sarno, I see your question, but I think you already super chatted us that one. So we're going to jump to William.
William Wolf, need help, was offered Kamara and McLaurin for Gibbs, Higgins, and Chase Brown. Higgins is on the ups a little bit right now. Have Collins, Neighbors, Higgins, Juju, Worthy, and Wicks at wide receiver. JT, Gibbs, Tracy, Brown, Algier at running back, half PPR.
I wouldn't do this.
I wouldn't
I'm
do
not
it.
doing that deal. No, Higgins and McLaurin are pretty comparable. Like you said, Higgins is on the up and up. This Bengals passing attack's on the up and up. And more so than ever before, their defense has never been great in the Joe Burrow era. This is the worst, one of the worst defenses like in the league, period, ever for Joe Burrow's era. They're going to have to keep chucking. So I think Higgins is in a great spot.
I think I'd rather have Gibbs than Kamara anyway.
Yeah, especially with this injury to Derek Carr here. David Carr, long gone there. So yeah, and then you're giving up Chase Brown, who is about to step into his own. He's got his first game most likely without Zach Moss this weekend. There's a real chance he takes this backfield over if he shows well in a good spot against the Giants, nonetheless. Yeah, you're giving up way too much. Like you're the loser in this trade. There's no doubt about it. Despite your good depth and everything, you're giving up more. I wouldn't do it.
I'm not doing it. Chronoshaw, hey guys, chips and salsa, chips and guac, or chips and pico de gallo.
Can I toss out a fourth? Chips and queso 10 out of 10 times.
I was going to say, man, like, let's not sleep on chips and queso.
Easily the best. Nacho cheese, you cannot beat queso. Now, of these options, I'd probably go chips and guac. You know, it's kind of the premium item here. You can get chili salsa and pico anywhere. Pico's my distant third. I don't like tomatoes. I don't like the texture of tomatoes.
Chips and guac is great, but it's pretty much straightforward. There's a lot of varieties of salsa that, I mean, you can mix it up. So I would actually probably, of these three, I'd say chips and salsa just because you have a much wider variety of options that you're going to get. But I agree with you.
Great point, Truth. That, especially if this is a question of like you could only have one the rest of your lifetime, then yeah, it's chips and salsa. Right. If it's like tonight, I can have one snack and one.
Tonight, I might go chips and guac in that.
Yeah, I'd probably more.
But if you brought in but I would take queso over any of them.
I take queso every single time. Lifetime tonight. I'll go take a bath in queso tonight. You know, I fucking love queso.
In that super chat wing, you should have a queso bath. You know, in the super chat wing, right? Like they have ice baths in some of these locker rooms. They're like, no, I'm going to need to go take a soak in neck deep in some queso.
Quick soak. I love it.
Now, as Krana does, and I appreciate this about Krana, he always gives us a fun question, then he hits us with a bunch of football questions, which are fun. But like, you know, I always appreciate the offbeat question to start things off. Flex one PPR guillotine. Ray Davis, Algier, Tyrone Tracy, and Gibson.
Man, that's rough. I know guillotine you too. You're just trying to survive and not get axed. There's a lot to figure out here, though. Is James Cook going to play? Is Devin Singletary going to play? Let's assume all the starters are in. Ramondre Stevenson's questionable too. If every starter is in, I'm leaning Algier. You get Carolina.
The same thing. Yeah, and I thought you were going to laugh at me. But if they're all in, I would probably say he's the one with the, you know, certainly the highest floor, I would say.
Yeah, 8 carries probably coming, and they're going to be coming against Carolina, the best matchup of all these guys. Of course, if any single starter is ruled out, you just go with whatever that guy is because you're going to get the most volume there. But assuming the starters are in, it's Algier.
Okay, I agree. Flex one PPR guillotine. Braylon Allen, Justice Hill, Spears, Madison.
Jeez. These questions, I mean, hey, I don't mean to judge, but these running back issues are tough. Oh, and we did get 2 super chats. So, Cron, we'll answer this real quick for you. I'm going to go – I think Justice Hill. The matchup is like a shootout-style game for the Ravens, probably the most involved. Spears is in a good spot, though, against the Colts. Madison's the starting running back. But I don't like the Steelers matchup at all. I'm going to go Spears. Colts matchup, good bet for in the end zone. What about you?
You know, that's not where I would have leaned, but you are making sense. I don't know what to expect from the Jets right now. I'm just like, you know, things are tumultuous to say the least. So I don't know what Allen's role is going to be. He could really blow up or he could disappear into the background. So that one scares me a little bit. Derrick Henry's just been crushing it so much. But Hill, I don't know.
He's getting a 15% target share. He's so
we'll go with Spears.
Yeah, it's tough. I do love the target share, though, for Hill. That's a really tricky one.
Papa Samo gives us another couple bucks.
Thank you so much,
PPR. Need one. Deontay, Aiyuk, or Downs? What do you think?
So, unless we had Flacco, and even if we had Flacco, I love Downs. Like, as the number one for Flacco with no Pittman. But that's just a narrative we just won't know. And we have Aiyuk going tonight in a good spot against the Seahawks without Tariq Woolen. I'm going to go Aiyuk. Deontay's – I thought he had, locked in. You don't even think twice about him. And then last week happened, and, as good as Dalton's been –
it's still the Panthers.
Is the red rifle kind of petering out? Is he running out of ammunition? 6 targets, 3 catches, 23 yards last week. Ugh. I'm gonna go Aiyuk. Go for the shootout. Go for the fun tonight.
I'm gonna go Aiyuk, and it's not that tough a call for me.
Yeah, there we go. We're on the same page there.
Papa Samo, Laporta or Kraft?
Crazy, but I'm going Tucker. I'm riding this guy out, baby. Like, he had a clip this week, Truth. Oh, what did he say? He was like, opponents will trash talk me, and I'll just turn to him and tell him, I'm going to burn your house down. And it's like, well, how do you respond to that?
Yeah, you're like, please don't.
I'm sorry, Mr. Kraft.
Sorry about that. So it is crazy that this is a question, and it's crazy that you're even leaning towards Kraft. If I have Laporta, and I mean clearly Papa Samo does, it might be hard for me to bench him. I mean, they're playing the Cowboys this week, I think.
They are.
Despite what happened with the Cowboys and the Steelers, I kind of think the Cowboys stink, and I kind of think their defense stinks. Mm-hmm. So I'd probably roll out Laporta. But Kraft, I mean, the fact that it's close for me, and it is kind of nuts. And the Wolves leaning Kraft.
I lean Kraft. I will say I'm biased, Laporta. Papa Sarno, I'm biased just because, again, I had Kraft just win me my week. I love what this guy's doing. I fully see Truth's case of this game shooting out Detroit, Dallas, Laporta going nuts. Campbell saying he's finally healthy. I guess I think I'm trying to now think of this through the lens of if I had both these guys, I spent a second or third round pick on Laporta. And I look at him in a good matchup.
Spent for him.
Yeah. I'm coming at it from my angle of I have Kraft. I love what the dude's done for me, and I respect him. And so I want to put him in my lineup. And I do have him higher in my rankings. I do. But I do understand, Sarno, if I was in your shoes and I had Laporta, this guy invested so much in preseason and in a good shootout style game, I'd probably go that way. But that's tough.
We don't really disagree.
No, I don't. I think I'd probably gun to my head go Laporta. Because you're waiting for that huge breakout, and it could very much be this week off the bye.
And you'd be more pissed if he blew up and he was benched.
Yeah, round, and we had the same exact question for Krana here too.
Same answer, Krana.
Yeah, and I would go Goff though in a 6-point passing touchdown league. I don't love Stroud without Nico in a Pats game where they're not going to need to pass that much. Would you agree? Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Deebo or BTR, PPR?
I know you love your Brian Thomas, but I got to go Deebo.
I do love my Brian Thomas, but the Deebo versus the Seahawk stats is where that tips for me.
Yeah.
I think if there was not a pedigree of total domination against this team, and I remember you said, "Oh, it's not the same defense." Right? It's a worse defense. Then I would I might even lean BTR, but I think given that, I'm leaning Deebo there. Also, he wants to know Kittle tonight or Ferguson.
Kittle, always Kittle.
Yep.
Yes.
And then his last one, finally, Metcalf tonight, Mooney or Dell, PPR. I'm still waiting to see it from Tank. With Nico out, you would like to think the opportunity is there, but I'm going to have to see it first. So to me, it comes down to Metcalf or Mooney. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, I'm still going Metcalf there. Wide receiver 9 for me this week. It's a good 49ers defense, but they're not great, and certainly not great in the secondary. So especially if Ward is out too, even better. I'm not sure if that's been officially ruled in or out, but yeah, Metcalf's I think a few tiers above both these guys. So
I saw a stat on Metcalf. He's I love Metcalf. We used to use him in hypotheticals all the time, and he's just so fun to pull for. Yeah. He's quite a fumbler, huh?
Yeah, a little bit.
He's quite a fumbler. Anyway, just throwing that out there. Krana, if Metcalf was Jordan Steele, he'd have lost his job, but he's not. Kranasha. Actually, one more. DGM or DJM, MHJ, or BTR, PPR. DJ Moore, I'm assuming we're saying. Obviously, we know PPR. What do you think?
I lean Marvin Harrison, but oh man, like Moore should destroy the Jags. They're a horrible secondary. He's coming off a 2-touchdown day. Seems like that offense is finally getting into gear. If you wanted to go Moore over Harrison, you sure could. You should certainly go Brian Thomas over them. But I think that Chicago secondary worries me a bit more, that it comes down to MHJ versus DJM.
Is that Brian Thomas?
Yeah, I think he means Brian Thomas. BTJ.
Oh, I thought he meant maybe Brian Robinson.
No, I think he means Brian Thomas.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's a tough one, man. Ugh.
I'm going Marv, but that's really tough.
I think I'd probably lean Marv too. Again, this is one where it's hard for me to be objective because I'm a BTJ owner. So just like you with Kraft, I would probably lean BTJ, but in a vacuum, I'd probably go Harrison still.
Yeah. Corona, great questions all around.
James Cook or Breece Hall rest of the season?
It's crazy. 3 weeks ago, then Breece Hall's my number 2 player in my big board. What are we even talking about? And now, multiple weeks in a row, he looks bad. The offense looks bad. Rodgers looks disinterested. I would probably, though, I had to pick one today. I'd say Breece, you have all this winds of change here and the new offensive coordinator coming in. And I don't know that's going to be a good thing, but I don't think it can be much worse than what these last few weeks are. I still believe in Breece Hall as the player. It's great. Cook's been great, too, these last few weeks.
Yes.
But I'm going Breece Hall. What about you, Truth?
I'm going Breece Hall for the same reasons. I mean, look, if my concern meter it's on, it's activated. But I mean, I believe in the talent. The whole reason we liked him over Bijan and stuff leading into the season, that's all still real. Like, we know this guy can run. We've seen it. We've seen him be awesome for a half a season before. I can tell you this: I've never thought much of Saleh as a coach. I didn't think he'd be the first guy fired.
No, me neither. Not at all.
But it's kind of funny too at the same time. Jose says, "Do I start Joe Burrow or Jaden Daniels?" I mean, that. Go ahead.
I go Jaden Daniels. I love that game this week. The Ravens Commanders shootout. We just saw Burrow versus Lamar and what that did for both of their fantasy values. I think we can see a very similar game happening here with Daniels versus Lamar. I love Burrow too. Giants, great spot for him just to go nuclear as well. But if any of these games became like a back and forth, like both teams put up 30 plus points, I think it's much more likely to be that than Burrow, who might put up a bunch early and then be like, all right, we can take the foot off the gas here because we're facing the Giants. So I go Daniels. We're talking about my quarterback 2 and quarterback 4. Like, I love both these guys, but yeah, I'm going Daniels.
It's tough to not play Daniels right now.
Yeah. He got 25 or more in 4 to 5 games. Like, he's a monster.
Yeah, he's pretty good. And I keep expecting him. I've never even seen him like slow to get up on when he takes these hits. And I'm like, well, that's the end of his career. And it's like he's never even takes like an extra couple seconds on the ground and then gets helped up. He just gets up. All right. Coach E, congrats on the new home, fam. And then William also, congratulations on the new home.
Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate it. It's fun to come on like right after, fresh off the inspection, and be able to celebrate with you guys. And as we move into the rest of this now, Wolfpack 770 of you here, help us push over to that 1,000. Hit that thumbs up, the heart button, the retweet, the like, the share, all that good stuff. Please do help us continue to grow Wolfpack. And if you're new around here, we'd love to have you sub as we climb towards 5,000 for the season. A huge goal. We're hoping to hit it. We're about to hit. We have sub picked up, so we'll hit this one quick, but we do have a super chat. So we're going to jump to that. Drop Juwan Jennings for Slayton. I have Neighbors. I wouldn't do this only because we've seen the upside of Juwan Jennings. Like, he's one of the few wide receiver handcuffs I actually buy into. The dude had a 50-point day when one of Aiyuk or Deebo were out. And so to me, like Slayton, maybe you get a rental for Neighbors this week if Neighbors is out. I think Neighbors is going to play, and this is a non-issue. And there's just a lot more chances of Jennings actually being useful for you with an injury. Whereas Slayton, you need a Neighbors injury. And we saw it was a good game, but I don't know. I definitely lean keeping Jennings over Slayton. What about you?
I agree. Same reasons.
All righty. Super chat coming again from AR Cannabis. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. Olave is my wide receiver too, but with no car, should I sit? Maybe. I have Lazard and Downs if he plays. I could get Trey Tucker, Dobbs, McLeod, or Pierce. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, I think you just play Olave. I'm worried about Rattler too, but Rattler actually had a quote this week where like Olave's on the field, I'm making sure to get him the ball. You know, he might walk in and sometimes like the lesser quarterback coming in, it honestly sometimes helps where he just locks onto his first guy and just chucks to him a million times. And what you're looking at these options, like unless it was Downs and Flacco. If it's Downs and Flacco, it's Downs and Flacco. You play Downs. But if not, I'm going Olave over the rest of these.
So I tend to agree with the way you're thinking on this. I find that, you know, if you got a young guy coming in, brand new, not much NFL or not any NFL game experience, whatever, you come in and there is an established wide receiver one on the team. You know, I'm throwing to that guy. Like I'm going to the tight end and I'm going to that guy. I'm not looking for my wide receiver 4, wide receiver 3. I'm probably not doing a ton of reads and you know, ball's probably going to come out kind of soon. I think Olave is probably your best bet out of the guys you have, minus the potential for Flacco and Downs, like the Wolf said.
Yeah, exactly. We're locked in together there. And Dookie B offering his perspective. Always love to see my guy Dookie B in the chat saying he goes Hall over Cook rest of the season as well. So we're lined up there, but it is close. It's very close.
PPR Deep League, Juwan Jennings versus Trey Tucker versus Xavier Hutch.
I'm going, oh, man, it is a deep league. I would probably just go for Juwan Jennings, who keeps making plays. I know the route share hasn't been there. The snap share hasn't been there. But when he's out there, he does damage. And I think this is a fun game that I'd rather go with him over these other options. Yeah.
I agree with it. So Silas asked, should I sit Jaxon Smith for tonight's game? Now, he does respond a few questions later. I like that take. So I guess we have already answered his question. So he says, I like that take. Would you start Jackson over J.K. Dobbins or Darnell Mooney?
Definitely not over Mooney.
Mooney, I would probably put at the top of this pile, which 3 weeks ago I would have said that was crazy.
It's nuts. But yeah, he's going to go down as like the waiver wire pickup of the year probably. And I go Dobbins. I would rather take the sure carries, the 15 to 20 carries. This guy's rolling early in the year. I still think he's got it for as long as he's healthy. So yeah, I would sit Jackson for those guys. Yes.
Agreed. Bulldog, what's up? What's up, gents? Should I trust Shaheed this week and play him over Wicks?
I don't think so. I love the 23% target share. I love what he's been doing. He's the number 1 receiver right now for the Saints. But I just don't know what this Rattler experience is going to look like. So I'm going to go for Wicks. I'm just going to ride. I'd rather have Jordan Love throwing my guy the ball than Spencer Rattler. So yeah,
I love thinking of it as the Rattler experience. It's like
Rattler
a theme park ride or something.
That sounds like one that would make you puke if you get on the Rattler. Get onto the Rattler.
The experience. No, the experience is a big part of it.
Well,
hope you're doing well. I'm in need of a dire win this week. Brock Purdy or Kirk against Carolina.
I'm leaning Kirk. I mean, the guy just threw 509 yards.
He's slinging.
He is absolutely slinging. So yeah, I'm gonna go Kirk. I like Brock tonight too. I love what his weapons do against this defense. So I certainly love what he could do as a proxy. But yeah, I'm gonna go Kirk. But it is my quarterback 9 and 10, so it's close.
I would also lean Kirk, which is nuts. Walker or Tank? I'm assuming he's talking about Ken Walker and Tank Bigsby.
Yeah, or Tank Dell potentially.
Well, I mean, my first thought was Dell, but then I was like, that seems like a pretty easy question. I would certainly.
I think either easy. It's Ken Walker, no matter what.
It's Walker against either Tank. So yeah, against both 110%. Tanks.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
All right. We've already answered him. We already did our super chat. We're down to Charlie. Another beautiful Thursday. Charlie. Another beautiful Thursday for some football. Start 2, Downs, Kirk, or Wicks. This is PPR.
So another one that again, I know Charlie, you'll be there on Sunday, so we can answer this one more there. If Flacco's the quarterback, Downs is the easy number 1. If Flacco is not the quarterback, Downs is the easy number 3. So to me, it's Kirk and Wicks with Richardson at quarterback. And if Flacco's the quarterback, it's Downs. And then it comes down to Kirk versus Wicks. I'd probably go Kirk there. What about you, Truth?
I would go Kirk. I would probably Wicks is probably the one that I'm least excited about. I know that you are kind of a supporter of Wicks. I would probably go the other guys over him. Obviously, with Flacco, it's not a question. Man, with Richardson, he might get nothing though.
Richardson sucks.
Yeah, Yeah. Oh, I might play Wicks over Downs if Richardson's the guy.
Yeah.
I don't love it. Would you start Lockett in PPR? This is Coach Zeke again. Lots of prop bets saying he should have a good game and is a consistent 8 to 10 points, or wait to start Downs, potential turf toe. We didn't even talk about that. Tolbert or Dubs, Jett is on by.
I think I waited out because the upside of Downs as the number one with Flacco is truly top 15-ish wide receiver. And if not, I think Tolbert and Dobbs are still right in the Lockett range. Lockett could have a decent day. He has been okay. He's been steady. He's the clear number 3, though. So I would wait it out. I'd sit Lockett tonight. Definitely play Downs if Flacco's in. And if not, I love what Tolbert's been doing, and they're going to need points against the Lions. And so I'd go Jalen Tolbert. He's had 11 points in 3 of his last 4 games in half PPR, so even more in full. So, yeah, I like Tolbert right now.
I do too. We answered that in a super chat.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, 3STKZ.
Yep. Lupe says, I'm starting Walker and Mason tonight. Do you think that's a good decision? I mean, they're better. Those are great running backs. Yeah.
You're talking about 2 of my top 7 running backs. So yeah,
if you got a guy better than either of those guys, like you're doing a lot better than me, which is not saying much. I'm pretty terrible. but Walker and Mason, yeah, I think it's a good decision. Absolutely,
I think it's a great decision. I know in DFS a lot of people are like, oh, don't play 2 running backs facing each other. Well, that's when you have everybody at your disposal and you're making it. But in a lineup, you got a sit-start decision. You got 2 top 7 running backs. You're playing them both.
Every time someone has the ball, like you've got the game by the horns, kind of. It's awesome.
Yeah, I have both those guys on my college team, and I'm stoked. I love both.
Carlos is God. Hey, folks, for some reason, Pollard is available in my league. What? Should I drop JK or Chuba? PPR, do you have? I mean, are those the worst guys you have?
Yeah, you can't drop. This must be a shallow. There are 6 to 8.
I got 4 guys like worse than any of those 3 guys.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're talking about a bunch of studs here. I would probably, if I had to drop one of them, it'd be Chuba, just because Jonathan Brooks is going to be coming back, and at a certain point, Chuba might fade into the background.
Maybe,
but I would rather have Pollard than either guy.
Yeah, you have to pick up Pollard. I'm not 100%. I would drop Chuba, but you got to get Pollard.
Yeah, how is there not like – and these are the type of questions too. Like this guy will ask this and then be like, oh, yeah, I have like the Ravens on my bench too. Like I have a second defense. Make sure you don't have a second defense, or there's got to be hopefully something else you could cut. But if not, it has to be one of those 2. I would cut Chuba myself just because I love Jonathan Brooks. I think he's going to come in hot.
All right, that's fair. Jay Smells, I need a stud running back. What do I trade or do? The next question is also his. It's a big one. I have Rashad White.
Sorry, Jay Smells. We can't go through your whole roster and then be like, this is who you should go after.
I mean, I think you need a stud running back. I mean, I think Breece Hall is supposed to be that guy.
Yeah.
So I think that you, and again, we won't go through the whole thing, but I mean, you have some really good players. Breece Hall is supposed to be that guy. I'm in that situation right now.
Yeah, I think you try to package it up. I'll tell you this, Jay Smells. We have trade value charts at Rose Street Journal. I have a rest of season big board I update throughout the week at Rose Street Journal. Use those to help try to figure out a package. You clearly are going to have to do I don't want to give up Malik Neighbors, so I'm not going to give him up. Okay, do I give up Brian Thomas Jr. and Chase Brown for a stud?
Give up Brian Thomas.
Maybe, but I don't really want to. So check the trade value charts. Check that. It's tough to let you know though without like who are you targeting, all that. We could spend the whole show talking about that. We just have a lot of questions.
You do have some really good players. Tunes, pick one, full PPR flex, Michael Wilson, Shaheed, Lazard, Justice Hill. This wasn't a question if Carr was healthy, right?
No, it wasn't. I still probably go Shaheed and just hope that like this role has been real, that the play caller is real. Because these other 3 options are just so uninspiring.
Yeah, you don't have anything else really going on. I don't love Shaheed, but I probably like him more than any of that.
Yeah, he's been such a beast all year. So I'm going to go Shaheed and just hope that he continues to pan out despite the quarterback. There is a world where Rattler's a better arm talent than Carr, and just it's no drop off at all.
They're
just garbage. Like there's no reason to even consider them when you have a guy.
I'm interested to see how it works out because they're bringing very different things to the table, in my opinion. I don't look at Derek Carr as like a good comp for Spencer Rattler.
It's going to be really interesting to see how that pans out.
Yeah. Jose says, do I drop Dowdle for Dobbins rest of the season?
Another one of those ones is like you don't have anyone else other than Dowdle you can drop.
I mean, Dowdle's like good.
He good. He just had 19 carries for the Cowboys. It looked like he took over that backfield. Was right around a 60% snap player, and right around like an 80% rush work. If you have Dowdle to do it, yeah, I would. But again, like, is there anybody else? Do you really need to drop Dowdle? He's looking like he took over the Cowboys backfield. That's a top 8 offense.
I think he has.
Yeah, I think that's his backfield to dominate now.
TN says, I have 52 of my 100 fab left. How much to drop for Tank Dell since Downs might be dead? Thank you.
I would probably drop it all just because Nico's out for a while. We've seen what Tank Dell can do with when he's like one of the top 2 guys. So, yeah, I would probably pay almost all of it, 40, 45, I don't know if that's going to get done for you. Tank Dell doesn't look that good, though.
Like Tank Dell moving forward?
It's tricky because, like, I don't think he looks like the same guy, and it's understandably why. He's had a couple injuries. He got shot. A few reasons why you might not look like the same dude.
But we do have some precedent. Brian Robinson got shot, too, and he looks like $1 million.
And he looks incredible. And Tank Dell was such a beast last year. I'm the biggest Tank Dell fan in the world. So I would – if he ends up, like, coming out this week and having a 150 and 2 touchdowns – but I'll be like, oh, Tank Dell's back, and he's a top 15 wide receiver the rest of the year because Nico might be out for an extended period. Like, that could very realistically happen. And to just even get the shot at that, yeah, I'd pay $40 to $50. Absolutely. I'd probably bid what I have.
All right. DK or Deebo tonight or both? I mean, unless your receiving core is great, probably both.
Probably both. Yeah, absolutely. How do you not get both these guys? And now I'm taking my rankings. I have DK above Deebo, and I don't actually agree with that. The more I talk about Deebo, the more I want him in my lap. So I'm bumping Deebo up, but both guys are in my top 10 receivers, Christian. So I think, yeah, you got to play both somehow.
Willie G. The worst part about my league, I'm in that league, is that buying low and selling high are rarely options. It's a very closed economy. That said, who would you flex? Ramondre, Dowdle, Pickens, Wicks, or McConkey? And I hear Willie on this thing, but Willie also, who is a very dear friend of mine, he likes, like, he picked Wicks off waivers last week, which you gave him a bunch of props for. He did nothing, but now he wants to use Wicks as like a real piece to get Deebo Samuel. And I'm just like, come on, man. Like, so if that's what he means by buying low and selling high, like, yeah, sure. Ramondre, who would you flex? Ramondre, Dowdle, Pickens, Wicks, or McConkey?
I'm leaning Dowdle here, I think. Again, like, it seems like he really took over that Cowboy. Oh, but he gets Detroit. That's a really bad matchup. One that they might get completely game flowed out against the run. Part of me is leaning Ramondre. He looked really good this last week for the Patriots. But then I like McConkey, but they get the Broncos, so I'm not going to go there. I'd like to say give Wicks another roll of the dice, but Dobbs is now back. I'm going to limit it to – I don't like Pickens. I don't. I mean, I like the player. I just hate the offense he's stuck in. This is a really tough one. Yeah. Oh, yeah. The Steelers are really tough. I think I'm going to go Ramondre. And, like, Drake May era begins. They're at home. I could see them, like, driving right down the field. The guy does have 15-plus points in 3 of his 5 games. The other ones have been bad duds, but Ramondre's been pretty solid, and I could see that paying out.
I lean Ramondre.
Apparently the Northern Lights are out tonight.
So cool.
Really? Wow, that's awesome.
Many did.
Yeah. No, not at all. Nothing going on here. All right.
We have Aiyuk, Flowers, or Tank Dell to discuss while the Northern Lights are glowing outside our house.
Glowing outside, but we're not going out. We're doing this for the next 15 minutes.
More important issues to take care of here.
In 2 minutes, I'm sure I could watch a YouTube of the Northern Lights or something.
Yeah.
All right. Nicola Lewin, Aiyuk, Flowers, or Tank Dell this week, full PPR?
I go Aiyuk. I go Flowers. I think that game shoots out. And he gets the Commanders, the worst secondary in football, maybe the second worst at this point. But, yeah, I'm going to go Flowers.
Okay. I tend to lean Flowers also, although I hope it's Dell. All right, here we go. Bowers are likely. Thank you, Wolf.
I go Bowers. That one can't be a question. Bowers is like the number 1, at worst, number 2 tight end behind maybe only Kittle. You saw what he did last week, 98 yards, touchdown. Oh, yeah.
I saw it.
What a beat.
JSN or Rico Dowdle?
JSN for me. I hate that Detroit matchup for Dowdle. He looked good, but that's a tough matchup.
Christian says, I got Neighbors, Metcalf, Deebo, Mooney, and Thomas Jr. Wow. I can only start 3. Who do I start?
You gotta go.
Neighbors isn't playing, right?
Neighbors is going to play, I think.
You think? Okay.
He didn't play. He's got 2 weeks now to recover. If he doesn't play, that's scary. I think you played Metcalf and Deebo tonight. So you lock in those two, the 2 top 10 receivers. You got to play them. And then it comes down to Neighbors. If Neighbors is in, there's a no-brainer. But you have good backups here. If not, I'd probably go Brian Thomas Jr. Now, that's tricky because they do play the London game that's early. So if you did really want to wait for more information.
The Jags own London, though. That's their stomping.
They do. That's really true. I would say it's easily Deebo, Neighbors, and Metcalf. Should they all be in? You definitely play Deebo and Metcalf tonight, and then it kind of comes down to if Neighbors is seeming likely, you wait it out for him. And if it has to be a Mooney fallback plan, that's a great fallback plan, is how I look at it.
Do you think that Brian Thomas and Deebo have some comps, right? I mean,
somewhat. I mean, Deebo's thicker. He's stronger. He's
more obviously big, of course. But I don't know. They have some stuff about him that reminds me about each other.
Every time they have the ball in their hand, you get a little electricity in your tummy. I get that for sure.
Yeah, right. That might be it.
Maybe not just in your tummy either.
Yeah, there's a subtle unzipping. All right, so it is 8:00. We have a little over 900 people here. This is usually where we go to rapid fire. Before we go to rapid fire, I want to give you one more chance, one more request from us to give us a like, subscribe, tell somebody, give us a share. Love to have 1,000 by the end of the episode. Looks like we're on pretty good pace to do that. So thanks for coming again, even though we started a little late. And even though there's not really a buzzy name like a Bucky Irving surrounding it, you guys still show up for us. So thanks a bunch.
Love having you guys
right now.
Let's do it. All righty. I love this trade. I think Najee Harris is useless. He's only going to get more useless as it goes. So it kind of becomes JMO for D. Smith. I think you did a great job, 909. I have 6 teams this year to regret it. Yeah, that's too much. I would pay for advice, but I think it's worthless. Thank you, Lindsay Het. I'm glad you're here for worthless advice. JSN for flex. I would go JSN there. One time, I can't read that question. I'm sorry. I have no idea what's happening there. I think we already answered it, by the way.
Yeah, I think we did.
Say queso bath. Got room for me. I'll bring the chips, boys. Come on in. An RSJ, just group queso bath. You know.
I wonder if we auctioned off a Wolf and Truth queso bath cocktail hour. I wonder what that would get up to in an auction for a Street Journal.
I'd be stunned if anybody paid more than $1 to take queso baths with me and you, Truth. I'd be pretty concerned.
Just for the experience, just to say they had done it.
Yeah, that really a great conversation started about, hey, I took a queso bath with the Wolf and Truth. Like, 1, who the hell are Wolf and Truth? And 2, why are you taking baths in queso?
You're like, I had the long story.
Yeah, this is supposed to be a rapid fire, but I do think that's a great idea. Drop Ingram for Kraft. Yes, I'd rather have Tucker Kraft, no doubt about it. JSN or Tolbert, we're going to go JSN. If that Kraft or Goddard, Kraft. PPR, Hopkins or Jerome Ford for the flex, I'm going Hopkins. Eric All, Dalton Schultz or Cade Otton, I'm going to go Cade Otton, Michael. Dowdle or Dobbins, I'm going Dobbins, the Shades. Need one flex from Hopkins, Jerome Ford. I would go. Oh, yeah, that's a repeat. So, Mr. Campanelli, I'm going to add a little responsibility to your plate for the Sunday show. If you see a multiple repeater, I'd love you to comment to them. Hey, they're going to answer questions. If you repeat, you're going to get canned. That's a little thing just to keep out on. I don't know if you're able to comment from the YouTube channel, but just that would be an awesome thing, cleaning up the repeats and then putting people. I think you have the power to go put people in timeout. If not, I'm going to get you that power.
He's kind of like a pit boss. And
that's what I'm saying. I want him to have the ability to throw people out of the club. This is our bouncer.
Sir, I think I think it's time for you to go.
Yeah, you got to go. You've asked your question 17 times. Shut the fuck up.
You got enough.
Ethan Pugh, sorry for the language. Sometimes my nephews watch, so I got to apologize. Ethan Pugh, could you all rank Shaheed, Wicks, JMO, or Jacoby? I think we already ranked these for you.
We did that.
Yeah, we did. And it went JMO, then Jacoby, then Wicks, then Shaheed. I think JMO's a different one there, though, for my boy Ethan.
Yeah, you're right.
Should I start Jaxon Smith? It depends on who your guy is, but he's startable. He's right down the middle for me. It really depends who it is. Like JSN versus Wicks, I'm going to go JSN on that one. Thanks, gents, and agreed. Easy KW3. Yes, absolutely. KW3 always. The tank is named Derrick Henry. Well, unless the tank is named Derrick Henry is what he's saying. It's easy KW3. Yeah, that's the only tank. I love that one from Charlie. Should I sit JSN or Olave? I think I'd go JSN over Olave just to see how this Rattler experience goes. Slayton, if no neighbors. Leggett or Alec Pierce, if no downs. I'd go Alec Pierce if all those situations come true, Krana. Dowdle, Shaheed, or Rashad White in the flex, full PPR. I would go Dowdle here, I think. Wandale or Shaheed for the flex. Full PPR, I do go Wandale, the target hog. What up, Jaws? Cheers to you. Let's go. JSN or Bucky Irving this week for Alex. I would go Bucky Irving.
I'm going Bucky. I'm going Bucky. I'm doing it.
I think so too. Should I drop Patrick Mahomes, Kansas QB? Probably not, but I mean, honestly, it's not an unfair question to be asking, Ralph Raphael. It truly is not. If Ramondre sits, do you start Keenan Allen? Do you start Braylon Allen is my guess, not Keenan Allen, or Justice Hill? I do lean Justice Hill if Ramondre sits, but he's not going to sit, Tune, so you don't need to worry about it.
So we answered this for, I think, someone else earlier. James Cook or Breece Hall, rest of season.
I think it's the same exact person.
Oh, is it?
He asked it 3 times. But I don't think Campanelli can put Twitter into timeout.
No, so but you must not have been listening. We answered that. We both lean Breece.
Wow, it does look like the Northern Lights are actually like legit right now.
I wonder if I can see
them. They're right outside.
Yeah, I'm going to go watch those. And this is like our last question. So I want to kind of go quickly get those before melting into the couch for Thursday Night Football. What's this? So it says JSN or Ridley or Amari Cooper. I'm going to go Amari Cooper there. Ridley really does intrigue me, but Amari Cooper, he's been getting peppered, and I think that it finally pans out for him this week.
It's Cooper.
JSN over Pollard and or Dell. I would go Pollard this week against the Colts. Very generous run, very generous defense in general. Jose, you bring the chips, I'll bring the Allagash. Just a couple beers, couple boys, couple bathtubs of queso. What a day. What a day that would be. A spa day with the RSJ. That's what we'd call the auction item, truth is. Just
spa day with the RSJ.
Spa day with RSJ. Involves queso, bats, beer, and football somehow.
Fantasy, right.
That'd be
Purdy
a fantasy. Purdy or Hurts. I'd go Jalen Hurts. Fresh off the bye, both his receivers back. Let's let him rip.
Last one, JSN or Bucky Irving. We just said that for somebody. I think we both like Bucky.
I go Bucky. Yes, indeed. All righty, guys. Thank you so much. Best of luck in week 6. Dalton Schultz may be intriguing, but even without Nico last week, did not do much. Lunch Table Legend. Love the name. A lot of new names coming in there towards the end. Please do consider hitting that subscribe button. We'd love to have you guys here with us every time we go live. I'll be live again on Sunday at 8 a.m. ahead of London, answering all your questions. Come join us. In the meantime, all of our content, including my updated rankings, will be at rotostreetjournal.com, as will so much other great content from our incredible writing staff. In a world full of fancy sheep, guys, be the wolf. Indeed, Tunes. Queso's worth a 2.5-hour drive, especially a bath of it later.